Hey guys, welcome back. So as soon as I wrapped up my initial review recently of the Colt Kodiak 44 Magnum, I knew two things. First, I wanted to own this gun. And second, I wanted to do a comparison between the Kodiak and the Smith Wesson Model 29, but not the classic Model 29. I have the Performance Center V-Comp version of the 29 in stainless steel with a 4-inch barrel, and the two guns have much in common. I've had the 629 V-Comp for about 8 years or so, and just recently learned that it's no longer offered from Smith. They have a newer competition model, but it's not quite the same as far as the specs go. So I thought about canceling making this comparison video altogether, but then I decided to go ahead and do it anyway, as sort of a demonstration on how two top competing gun makers approach the same type of product. Plus, it gives me a chance to do more shooting with two really nice 44 Magnums. So there's that. You can see by the specs that these guns are closely matched. The key differences are the weight and the method of compensation. As I was guessing at the range, the Kodiak weighs more than the 629 V-Comp by about 4 ounces. That's like the weight of half a cup of coffee, so it is significant. Smith compensates the recoil by adding a slotted vent compensator to the front of the barrel. The bullet has actually exited the barrel as it passes through the compensator, which is removable. Colt chose to go with actual porting in the barrel itself. If one is more effective than the other, I can't really say because I'm not a qualified expert. But perhaps the combination of the extra weight, the method of porting, and the slightly larger grip all make the Kodiak feel just a little bit softer. All right, there are those. That looks like a nice group. So obviously what I'm comparing is the Colt Kodiak to the Smith Wesson Model 629 Performance Center version. They are both 44 Magnum. They are both stainless steel. They are both compensated. So there's a whole lot they have in common. Who did it better? I don't know. Let's see if we can figure it out. So right now I'm shooting the lighter loads. I'm shooting some 44 special loads because I'm going to give myself a little bit of a break from the recoil. And I really just want to go back and forth between the two guns and get a little bit of a feel. So starting with the Colt Kodiak. Now 6 rounds through the Smith Wesson. And this is, again, it's a model 629. It's a variant. It is a performance center version. I am shooting at a paper target, and I will take a look at that later. I don't have a camera on it right now because I don't want to focus on each shot placement, but I do want to see overall how the overall group of one compares to the other, just for offhand shooting. When I was shooting my groups for accuracy, I was shooting 44 magnum loads, self-defense loads, or bear loads, whatever you want. They're both, very stout loads. My feeling was that the Colt handled the recoil better, significantly better. Like I felt like I really could feel the difference. Like, wow, this one shoots softer. So I may have to revisit that just in a kind of an offhand way here in a minute, but I'm still shooting 44 special for the moment, giving myself a little bit of a break. As far as feel and overall quality physically of the gun, boy, they're really even. They both feel terrific in the hand. The Colt feels a little bit fuller. The stock is a little fuller with that rubber grip than the Smith, which also has a rubber grip. But Smith feels a little narrower in the hand. So if you have smaller to medium-sized hands, you may prefer that. All right, so now I'm loading up some 44 Magnum because I want to really try to pay attention to the recoil. I'll let you pay attention to it too, because sometimes you can see better than what I feel and perceive. So sometimes it's good to let the camera figure it out. So starting with the Kodiak, again, 44 Magnum. Okay. A little smoky, but otherwise not bad. It's arms core is the ammo I'm shooting. So just on its own right now, before making the comparison to the Smith, which I'm loading now, that felt good. That did not feel really harsh at all. Of course, these are not hollow points. They're not defense loads, so they're not going to be quite as hot. But arms core is known, to me at least, to be fairly stout across their whole catalog of ammunition. Every time I shoot arms core, whether it's 9mm, 10mm, or 45 ACP, it's always on the hotter side. That felt quite comfortable for 44 Magnum. So now, the Smith & Wesson. Same ammo. I see this right off the bat doesn't feel as soft. I'm feeling more recoil here. So back to back, and I think I'll do that again, just to be sure, and also because it's fun and I like shooting. So I'm going to do it again. But that first 6 shots of each, Kodiak felt much softer to me than the Smith. We'll get into the specs of each gun separately. I won't do that here at the range because I'll probably get it wrong. So when I've got numbers in front of me, we'll talk about the specs, because it could be a weight issue between the two guns that I'm feeling. The orange insert on the front sight, and the front sight in general on the Kodiak, gets fouled pretty badly, I have to say. You know, those compensation ports are right underneath it, and they're kind of angled straight up at it. And it does get pretty dirty, to the point where it really starts to diminish the orange. You really don't even see the orange anymore. So that's not a good thing. Yeah, it's you know, it's a marginal thing, but seems to feel softer. Let me try 6 more with the Smith. Now, if we were talking about 9mm, I think this would be not that big of a deal. And if we were even talking about 45 ACP, not that big of a deal. When you get into 10mm, and then certainly get into 357 Magnum, 44 Magnum, how much a gun manages or mitigates recoil becomes a more significant point, right? Because the recoil itself is significant. All right, back to the Smith. Yeah, it's I just feel a little bit more recoil here. It's got a sharper tone to it. It's not bad. It's not like, oh no, I can't, you know, I don't like that one as much as this type thing, but I can feel more recoil here with the Smith. But I don't know. I don't have the numbers here in front of me, so I don't know them. I am curious now myself what the weight difference is. The Smith might be lighter enough, significantly. Who knows? All right, I'm going to do 6 shots again. I'm going to go back to the 44 special ammo. And I'm going to do 6 shots single action from both guns, just so I can kind of feel if there's anything really different between them that way. Starting out again with the Kodiak. Now, I will tell you that the action on this Colt Kodiak is extremely nice. The action on the Smith Wesson is really nice too, but there's a level of smoothness on the Colt might be a little bit smoother. I'm not sure. I'm going to pay attention to that right now while I shoot these slow fire single actions. I will tell you, I like the hammer better. I like the hammer spur better, significantly, on the Colt. Much more comfortable. All right, that felt nice. There's a nice smoothness in the hammer. The hammer spur is very nice. It feels great. It's nice and wide.
It's not too sharp, but it's got great texture on it. It's so smooth to cock it back, just really, really nice. The trigger, excellent. As I've already said in my review of the Kodiak, the trigger is really fantastic. The Smith Model 629 Performance Center Edition. Same. It's got a nice smooth action, but it's not quite as buttery as the Colt. I think I like the trigger a little better on the Smith. The trigger on the Smith is, so, in single action now I'm talking, it's almost like surprise break every time good. You know, it's that nice. So it's a really sweet trigger.
Okay, likes and dislikes for each gun. These are personal preferences and observations, so they might mean nothing to you. I've been a Smith & Wesson wheel gun shooter all my life, so I prefer the push-forward cylinder release as compared to Colt's pull-back cylinder release method. The front sight of the Kodiak gets really dirty really quickly because of the placement of the ports, and because it's serrated, it's not easy to wipe clean in the field. The front sight of the 629 actually stays clean all day. The Smith & Wesson has a smooth trigger face, and the Colt has a grooved trigger face. I honestly didn't have a problem with the Kodiak as I didn't notice the trigger feeling rough or abrasive. Both triggers are excellent in every way. No stacking, yet predictable and consistent. Both can be prepped for near single action breaks pretty easily. I measured the trigger pulls with my Lyman digital gauge. Double action pulls are nearly identical, with the Colt double action at 9 pounds 15 ounces and the Smith double action at 9 pounds 12 ounces. But the big difference is the single action pull. The Kodiak breaks at 5 pounds 15 ounces and the 629 at 4 pounds 1 ounce. That is essentially a 2-pound difference in single action between these two triggers. The Colt Kodiak clearly performed better in my rested accuracy testing, but in my everything else groups of offhand shooting, the 629 was actually better by more than an inch.
All right, taking a quick look at these two groups. So this was all the stuff I was shooting while I was just doing my comparison. There was a mixture of 44 Special and 44 Magnum in all of this. On the left, I was shooting the Colt. So all of this is the Colt Kodiak, and then all of this is the Smith & Wesson 629 Performance Center. So you can see that the groups are placed differently. The way they spread, but I have to say overall it looks like that Smith really gave me a tighter overall group.
I like the feel of the hammer spur on the Colt a little better than on the Smith. And the action of the Colt just feels a little bit butterier, even though they are both quite fantastic. Another thing you don't always think about is this. Both finishes look great, and I like the look of the matte finish a lot on the Smith & Wesson, and I always have. And I also like the more polished look of the Colt. But the matte finish is much harder to clean than the polished finish. And one last note, the Kodiak cylinder is longer, and it handles cartridges like the available hardcast gas check loads. The 629 would not be able to handle those. My thanks to viewer Jeffrey Locke for commenting on my previous Colt review with that information.
So I thought as long as I'm out here going head to head with these two 44 Magnums, I might as well play you a song. I don't think I've ever played this particular song with 44 Magnums before, so this will be a first for me. Should be fun. It is, of course, my favorite song, the Song of My People. That was probably the loudest I've ever played that song. That was like the Led Zeppelin version of Song of My People.
If you'd asked me a couple months ago what my favorite 44 Magnum handgun was, I would have said the Smith Wesson Model 629 Performance Center V-Comp without any hesitation. Now, I'd really have to think before answering it, and I might say the Kodiak. One comment about the quality control of Colt is that, like the new Python, this Kodiak was shipped from the factory with a slightly bent ejection rod. I don't know if it's a parts issue or a result of the assembly process that needs to be reviewed, but I hope Colt does address this. Let me know what you think in the comments below. You can really support this channel and help me keep content flowing by hitting like and being a subscriber. Look down in the description of this video and you'll see several discount codes and some affiliate links. You can save significant money on products that I use and recommend, and in some cases you're helping the channel out a little bit too. Okay, so that's it for this time. I hope you're having a good day. This is just an opinion. Thanks for watching.